Well, if you want to know about Generation Z, we decided to come to the right people. These folks right here. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Good.
We're glad to be here with you guys. You guys are all in Generation Z. You know that already, obviously, before I even said that clearly. Now, we've asked you guys to tell us the truth. Can you do that for the next several minutes here about who your generation is? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, gotcha. You'll do your best. That's how we describe your generation, so this is going to be good. When I say the word Generation Z, that's you guys, clearly. What comes to mind?
Diversity.
Diversity.
Independent.
Okay, someone else?
I think we're creative. We get like a bad rep for using technology too much, but I think it actually opens doors for us sometimes.
All right, why do you think you're creative?
Well, we make use of a lot of the technology that we've been given, so like we can use the video editors and stuff that's on our phones nowadays and all sorts of other things, and we can make things that might have taken a lot more specificity, or like a college degree or something, maybe longer ago or something like that.
Do you guys like being a part of Generation Z?
Yes.
I do.
Why is that?
That's who I am. That's who we are.
Okay. You're like very proud about that, Julio. All right. Courtney, what about you?
It really depends. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. When you see like what people are doing, some ways you're kind of like, oh, I'm not really a part of that. Like that's not who I want to be. But then like when you see like the good parts of it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm okay in this group. I like this group of people.
Wow. That kind of leads us to the next question. Let's talk about the good parts. Can we talk about the good parts of Generation Z?
Yes.
Then we're going to talk about some of the not so good parts, all right? All right. What are some good parts about Generation Z that we should know?
I think we're more open-minded nowadays. We're not so quick to judge the people. Rather, we're willing to listen and consider the other's opinion.
All right. How can you guys help me understand that a little bit here? Open-minded. What does that mean about your generation? Are the past generation, are they not so open-minded?
I would say the past generation is more strict about a book. And the world now is just, more diverse, like you said. So it's like everything changes day by day. So that would keep us open-minded and, it's moving forward.
All right. Somebody else. Open-minded. Help me understand that because I'm old. So help me understand when you say open-minded, what does that mean?
I think thanks to the new technology, we get to see what's going on out in the world. If there's a crisis or an incident that happens out there, we know it within a matter of minutes. It doesn't take days or weeks to read it in a newspaper. And I think because of that, everything isn't just in our own little world. We get to see what's going on out there. We get to experience what's going on out there. And so that really opens us to think, well, I don't have to think this way just because I live in this little area and this is all I've ever known. So I think opening doors to other parts of the world and to other areas in our community really open about what we think about other areas of our world and other areas of our community.
Gotcha. What sort of things about Generation Z that are positives?
I think for the most part we're caring to a certain extent.
Now, who thinks you guys are caring? Raise your hand as a generation. All right, kind of, sort of. All right.
Yeah.
Pretty caring, okay. All right. What's another word that describes you guys?
Acceptance. I feel like not a long time ago, like a few years ago, even
Like how long would be too long ago, by the way? Like my generation too long ago?
Before us.
Okay, so all right.
So like I feel like before, like you couldn't be gay, you couldn't be, like anything that people didn't want you to be. And now, we have our first gay governor.
Okay.
Openly gay governor. That's like amazing, I just feel like we as a generation accept more people of who they are because of we want to be accepted as who we are.
Is that right, guys, about acceptance?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of the not so good things about Generation Z. What would be some negatives?
For me, I've seen a lot of people have a very strong lacking in work ethic.
Okay.
Especially like a lot of the younger people, like the teenagers, like us.
Who thinks the work ethic is a problem with Generation Z? Raise your hand. All right, why do you guys think that?
Well, I think thanks to Google, it's really easy just to look something up when you're researching for a paper or something, and it's really easy everything's at your fingertips.
Yep.
And if it's not at your fingertips, you really don't have like an urge to go look for it.
Gotcha. Someone else?
I feel like for me, it's like a lot of people are like their parents give them everything they want, so it's like it comes to you more easily, so you don't have to work as hard for it. You know?
All right, guys, help me understand here because I'm a pastor. All right, so help me understand your world a little bit more, okay, in the terms of how you see the Bible and things that are in the Bible, okay? When it comes to the Bible, when it comes to it being correct and errant, like the Word of God, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it is that still? Does your generation buy into that?
Personally, if we're talking about just myself here, I think the Bible is true.
Okay.
Through and through. But if we're talking about our generation as a whole, I'm thinking that maybe we're starting to like pick and choose sometimes. It's sort of like they'll take maybe like a verse or something out of context, which is, I mean, that happens all the time, but still they'll like I've heard people say, my God is the God of the New Testament and not of the Old Testament. And I'm like, that's kind of, well, I don't know how I really feel about that. So, I mean, that's something that I think is sort of Generation Z-ish, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Is that correct, guys? Is that true?
Yeah.
I agree. For the most part, for me, when I do my reading, I think when I look into the Bible and things of that sort, things sometimes changes for me personally. So I apply certain things and certain things I don't apply just from the way I carry myself.
Okay. Now, as a pastor, I'm hearing that as someone who's asking questions this afternoon too. As a pastor, I hear that, and help me get, I want to ask the rest of you guys this question also. So when we say as pastors that, man, the Bible is without error, how does that make you feel?
I feel like your truth is your truth.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else? That's a good one. Somebody else?
I mean, I've believed that the Bible is true like my whole life, but like as I've grown up and like grown in my faith, like I've started to like have more questions about like, do I believe all this just because I've always been told that it's true, or do I believe this because like I personally do?
And what can we do as pastors to help you with your questions?
I mean, I feel like just like addressing it more, because like, I mean, like it depends on the church and the pastor, obviously, but like some people just aren't good about like talking about like the hard stuff because, you know, they don't want to, or like it might raise too many questions or like turn people away.
Do you guys think that we don't talk about the hard stuff as pastors?
I think Eastside, I think they do a pretty good
Your
job
personal
of it.
church, you
Yes.
think is
Yeah.
all right?
But
Overall, do pastors struggle with talking about the hard stuff? And don't hold back because I'm a pastor.
I agree.
You think we do hold back?
Yeah, because it's like I said, by this being Generation Z, that we're more independent and we think critical thinkers, sir. For the most part, when we ask a question, it's like, okay, this is what it is, and we expect us to run with it. But necessarily, we don't run with everything you tell us. So we do our homework and, you know, come back with more questions. And it seems like you just get the open-ended questions like, oh, like this what it is, nothing else to, you know.
So you guys would say you would like us as pastors to be more your generation, not you. Your generation would like us to be more direct. Is that correct?
I'm afraid pastors as a whole, not you personally, but
That's
pastors
okay
as a
if
whole,
you are saying me personally.
like to sugarcoat a lot of stuff, and I was very shocked when I took biology as a freshman to hear about evolution. I never heard about it before. No pastor or leader had ever told me about evolution. And so I get here and they told me the earth is millions of years old, and I was always told it was 6,000 years old. So I'm in conflict on which one to believe. And I was never addressed that when I was younger, the difference between the two points of view.
What do your friends think about, I'm going to say Jesus first, then I'm going to say about the local church second, okay? What do your friends think about Jesus?
Well, I think most people would agree that he was a good guy. However, people don't want to accept that he is God, because I think by doing that, that means that he has power over them. And nowadays, like we say, we're more independent. We don't want people to tell us what to do. We don't want to be dependent on something else. And I think that's very critical when it comes to a relationship with God.
Someone else?
I think it's more a visual thing, because you have different images that people say that Jesus had wool hair or whatever the case may be. So nothing just stable enough for you to be for our generation to say, okay, yeah, that's Jesus, and that is nobody else. So I think it's just more a stability thing for a visual picture for us to see that that's that person.
Got you.
I think especially in like the world we've grown up in, just like, because there's like a lot of bad stuff happening, you know, like terrorist attacks and school shootings and like all this terrible stuff. Like, I think a lot of people our age, it's really hard to like accept the fact that like all this bad stuff can happen if like there is a God who like could stop it. They're like, okay, well, if you believe in this like all powerful God, like why won't he make all this bad stuff go away?
How do you think about the local church?
I think overall, it's a refuge and it's a good place for people who are Christians and regularly attend church. However, I think there's room for improvement when it comes to reaching out into the community.
Okay.
I agree with Josh.
Yeah.
Lately, I've listened to the sermons, and I've tried listening to them from a non-Christian's perspective, just to see how it would sound to someone who's not a Christian. And sometimes I feel like it wouldn't really reach the person. Sometimes, obviously, there's some pastors and some people who reach those people effectively, and that's a good thing. But I feel like maybe the church as a whole could work together to achieve that more. Not to sugarcoat things to the point where it's not the truth anymore, but to make it more accessible to those who haven't grown up in the church, maybe.
All right. Someone else?
I want to kind of say like what he said, but like the opposite. Like the church I go to, we're like fully involved in our community. I mean, lately we've been going through some stuff, so it's kind of been like dying off a little bit. But we have like outside of the walls pastor. Like we go on mission trips. We do these things called FIAs, which is faith in action. We go out into our community, which is not necessarily, your average rich person. It's like Latinos and people of color living in apartments. And, we go out and we feed them. We give them school supplies and, we do this and that.
So you're seeing it in action.
I'm seeing it. I'm doing it with them.
Would you all say that for the most part, the churches that you go to, that you like going? Am I correct about that?
I do.
You're pretty excited about it. Okay. When it comes to your friends, how do they see the local church? They even talk about the local church.
I don't think it's a commitment per se.
Okay.
Like most of my friends are, would see it like this. It's not a commitment. So Sunday come around, they won't just like, oh, there's something I have to go to, or the service I have.
So they're still sleeping in bed somewhere.
Yeah,
Come Sunday
it
morning.
depends on like what they did the day before, or whatever the case may be. If they done something wrong, or I mean, I'm not saying they have, but I'm just saying like it's not a full blown commitment to like, okay, I know I got to be here every Sunday to get the word.
Gotcha. So commitment is a problem.
Or like going back to the lazy thing, like a lot of my friends say, oh, I just don't want to get up that early. Like, because most churches start at like 9:30, or they have an 11 o'clock service, but teenagers sleep a lot. So a lot of people are...
That still happens still. It's always been that way, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So people will are like, oh, I just don't want to get up that early.
And what else about how your friends see the local church?
I had a friend ask me one time, I was telling him about a mission trip. We went to Haiti this year, and I was telling him about it. He said, well, why do you go to all over the world when we got people right here when we do the exact same thing? And it got me thinking. I'm like, well, I mean, he has a point, and that if that's what other people see about the local church, then I think that's something we need to fix. Got you.
Do most of your friends attend church?
No.
All right. If you'd say most of your friends do not attend church, raise your hand.
I'd say it's about half and half.
Half and half? Okay, so most of you then. All right, tell me this. We're going to turn the corner here just a little bit, all right? When it comes to who are the people who are influential in your generation? Who are some folks that pastors like myself should know about that we may not know about, all right? And do not say Lionel Richie, okay? Because that's definitely not your generation, all right?
Well, I think a lot of artists, when it comes to music, that's very influential.
Who are some artists? Give me some names.
Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, Kendrick Lamar's one. All right. Someone else?
That Christian rapper, though, Craig.
It can be Christian too. Christian and secular, either one. Who else? Give me a couple more.
A lot of people like Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
Don Glover. All right. Yeah, from here in Atlanta. Yeah. All right. Give me one or two more, guys.
I think for me, it's honestly anybody that's like a person of color that has status.
Really?
Like Stacey Abrams.
Okay.
Who
ran for governor here in Georgia. Let's talk about, can we talk about race just a little bit here, guys? Like, how do you guys see race, and how does your friends see race? In fact, let me start off with this question here. How many of you have friends who are outside of your race? Raise your hand. Now, that is very different from most generations, to be fair. How do your friends see race?
I think now more than ever, in this day and age, people are starting to see less like through a color filter. They're like seeing, they're not looking at race, but they're looking at whether I want to associate with this person or whatever, you know? They're looking more at personality and stuff like that. Obviously, there's still a big problem, but...
Is there still a problem with race still, guys? You still think?
I think so.
There is? Like, why do you think so?
I think it's the older people that are hanging on to it, that are teaching us.
Yeah.
Is Julio right about that? The older people are holding on to it?
Yeah, because I think for the most part, just like if we all in one group, we talking about, oh yeah, we're cool with whatever race, and then we go home to our respective homes. Like you said, the older people don't hang around this person, don't hang around that person. So it's kind of like you in between, knowing like what's right and what's wrong.
Now, Josh, you said that's right. Is that correct?
I think nowadays the problem is generalization. They say don't hang around this person because insert thing here. But that's not the case for every single person that fits that specification, right?
Right.
So that kind of thing, I think it still happens just because maybe not even the majority, but some people maybe did something that the older people didn't like, and they think that we shouldn't associate because of that. I tend not to pay attention to that kind of stuff, though. So.
Got you.
I think everyone is still slightly a little stereotypical.
Still.
I think you have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like for me, like my teacher gave me this great example. Say like, because I have a little brother, his name is Adrian, and say I'm going to like a Walmart, right, to like buy groceries or whatever, and I see like some guy who's like teared up, smoking cigarettes and like scratching his arms and stuff. Obviously, I'm not gonna be like, oh, he looks like, you know, I feel like, you know, don't judge him by the way he looks, but I'm pretty sure he's a great guy inside. Like, no, don't do that.
So you guys still, does your generation still stereotype people still?
I do it all the time.
All right. Help me out here. What are 2 or 3 other hot button issues that concerns maybe you or concerns your friends in your generation? What are some issues that you would say, man, this concerns me or my friends?
Besides racism?
Besides racism.
Not thinking before you do things. Like most of us, not you guys per se, but most of us just do it and just deal with the consequences later instead of just thinking about the consequences and then try to, move forward.
Things like the environment, is that a big deal for your generation?
Some people do care about it, but not a lot.
Okay. How do your friends see the issues of homosexuality?
They 100% agree with it. They think it's okay.
All right. How do your friends agree with it? Raise their hands, 100%. Most of you. Most of your friends don't?
I mean, I don't say they agree with it, but I don't ask, so I wouldn't.
Gotcha. So that's what you bring up anyway.
Yeah,
okay. All right. But most of your friends agree with it 100% though.
Yeah.
All right. How do they see same-sex marriage?
Same.
Yeah, probably the same.
Huh. So they're okay with that too?
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things with our generation, the open-mindedness.
Yeah.
You know, Jesus always said, love the sin or hate the sin. But now, you know, everybody's like, come as you are. We want you for who you are, not, you know, your lifestyle. And I think that's why we view homosexuality the way we do.
Do you guys see a church one day in the future where there may be a homosexual pastor or homosexual staff, and would your generation, would they be okay with that?
I don't think I can see it just because the church.
You can't see it.
I mean, I can. I want to see it.
You can't see it either.
Honestly,
Okay.
Can't
All
because like, you know, like the church is like a man and woman, you know, bound to be together, not a man and man. You know,
Gotcha.
I want to see it, but I don't personally think I can.
Very interesting how you guys differ from the rest of our generations. What are some other hot button issues that you would say that your generation cares about?
I think it's wealth status.
Wealth?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think just wanting to be a cool kid is a big deal, especially with social media. Anything you do that can be recorded will be recorded. And
how does that make you feel, guys? Everything you do can be recorded, will be recorded.
Well, here we are in a discussion being recorded.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of, which is different for most of our pastors and for myself growing up. That was not the case. I mean, we did not have these everywhere we walked around with. They weren't even in existence yet, by the way. You're like, a world without a cell phone. Yes, there actually was a world like that at one time. And so that just wasn't natural. And so how do you feel about that you can be recorded at any moment?
I think you feel like you have no privacy.
No privacy.
Yeah, sometimes.
Wow, how does it make you feel that you don't or maybe don't have any privacy?
To build off what Courtney said, I think sometimes it sort of limits you in a way because you got to watch what you post and what you look at and stuff on the internet, because nowadays employers can access that stuff. If you're trying to apply for a part-time job or even a full-time job, they can look at that stuff and they'll be like, oh, we don't want this person based on their activity online and stuff like that, even if you've deleted it per se. So
Wow.
I think it really changes the way we've gone about like our lives.
Do you guys feel like you're always on? Is that fair question to ask you? Do you feel like you're always on with social media and with cell phones going around everywhere? Do you feel like you're always having to perform? Maybe am I saying that correctly or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think once you get started, it's hard to stop. I mean, you tell yourself you're not going to do this, you're not going to go on this social media, but it's a gift and a curse. And like you talked about the privacy thing, it's also help with self-awareness. So it kind of help you be a better person in a sense, like aware of what you post and what you don't post. But then it does like sometimes put you in a box like I can't be myself because I'm scared someone is going to post me and it's going to go viral or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that fear kind of haunt you guys?
Yeah, I think now more than ever. I'm sure back then, tell me if I'm wrong, but it was my word against yours, and then now it's my word against yours and this video that we got here seeing what actually happened. And so,
how's that make you feel? There could be a video out there.
Not much room for lying.
Yeah.
And so I think you really have to be careful, and like he brought up earlier, really thinking before you act. Really, that's something that we don't do a lot, and now we have to pay with the consequences because now it's all over the internet. And so really that one dumb decision that you do now could affect you for the rest of your life because it doesn't go away.
Now for your friends, does anxiety kind of come to the forefront for a lot of your friends that they really feel anxious all the time?
Oh, for sure.
Wow, like how's that look?
I mean, a lot of my friends personally, they'll stay up till like 3 or 4 a.m. studying for something. They'll get a good grade on it, but they won't get like a perfect score, and they'll go back and do more next time. They're like really, really stressed out about school because nowadays college acceptance rates are so critical to getting a job, and it's hard to get into a good college and all this other complicated stuff that they have to worry about. And they think maybe, and they might be right even, that this one test could change their actual future. So it's kind of a big deal. I think maybe more now. I'm not sure.
So they feel like they're always living, if I'm hearing you correctly, they feel like they're always living on the edge. Is that
would be a fair
assumption? Is that a fair assumption? Gotcha. All right, let's turn the corner here a little bit. We got a couple more questions before we end. Let's talk about your parents. Okay, they're not in the room and they may be watching this. Who knows? Do you guys agree with your parents when it comes to, I'm going to bring out a couple issues, politically? Are you in the same, step in line with your parents? Yes or no? Raise your hand if you are.
I think so.
You think so? Okay.
It really does depend.
Politics.
Yeah.
It depends on the topic.
Yeah.
All right. Why does it depend?
I think now, since we're more open-minded, a lot of it is people ask you, well, do you believe this because this is what you believe or because this is what your parents believe? And I think now we have a conflict because we want to please your parents.
Yes.
But then is it authentic? And there's like a line of distrust going on there because you want to please your parents, but then again, I don't want to make them mad. I don't want them to think less of me. But then again, you're like, well, this isn't really what I believe, or is it really that bad to think in a new perspective?
Now, it's been said at your generation that you guys love pleasing your parents and leaders. Is that correct? That you really do try to aim to do that?
I wouldn't say just so much parents and leaders. I think it's just you have to have someone that you look like you talked about earlier. Who do you look up to? And so you do things for a reason, and you have a reason of why you do it, just to please somebody. I don't know if it's just parents or leaders. It's somebody that you doing it. You saw it and you're like, okay, that's the reason I do this, and that's why I do it. So
we're just people pleasers.
Yeah.
Really, you want to find acceptance by somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who.
Got you.
Which can lead to other problems nowadays.
Yeah.
Got you. A couple more questions, guys. What are some misunderstandings that we may have about your generation?
Well, I think that people now are like, oh, they don't want. How do I put this in words? I think people now are like, they're not ambitious, they don't want to go out and do stuff, they're not creative. And I think in reality we are. It's just a lot of the way we go about it is different than how it has been in the past.
Got you. Hey guys, one question I feel like I've got to ask. Is today's church, overall, local church, are we ready for your generation, you think?
I wouldn't agree.
You don't think so?
Just because the saying, come as you are and we'll accept you. I think, for the most part, some churches may do that, but for the most part, they, stereotyping, oh, yeah, he's this or she's that. But really, that it's within that person from the heart. As long as they bring a good heart and good intentions to the church, then I think that's what it's the most important part.
So you said we're not ready, is what you're saying?
I don't think so.
Okay. Anybody else?
I feel like it kind of goes both ways. Like what he said, come as you are. The church is supposed to accept that. But I feel like a lot of the times we're not ready for the church.
How's that? You guys feel like you're not ready for the church?
Not me personally.
Not you personally, obviously.
Like a lot of people that I know.
That you're not ready. That they're not ready.
All right.
I think that the church has good intentions in bringing people in, and they have a good message that they want to share, and the people want to accept it. Problem is that there's pastors and other leaders have a hard time relating it to people in the real world. Your daily life is going to be different from a Latino's daily life, from a black man's daily life, from a white woman's daily life. It's going to be different in every way, and relating it is the problem.
Wow. Anybody else?
I think personally, we can definitely see they're trying. They're trying to get.
You think they're trying?
I think they're trying to become more relevant, more, technologically advanced, more open toward everybody, spreading more positive messages and stuff like that. But I don't know if we're quite there yet. If you know what I'm saying.
I think a lot of times they try, but it doesn't always go over well. They try to think that they're being.
It doesn't
cool.
go over well
yeah, they're
sometimes.
Trying to be cool and they're
are we trying too hard?
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
And sometimes you'll, like Megan said, they'll try either too hard, and there's a balance between the younger people and the older people, and the older people don't like it, and then the younger people don't like it when it's too. So it's like a give or take.
Gotcha. Is there any question, guys, that you feel like I did not ask that I should have asked?
I think maybe you could have asked, what are some improvements that we think the church should make as a whole?
Okay. What are some improvements?
Well,
Good job. What are some improvements?
I mean, a question I thought you could have asked is about what can, like you said, what we could contribute as a generation. What can we bring to the table?
Okay. What can you bring to the table?
I mean, I think that's it's broad because everybody come with different ideas and thoughts. So I think it's just leave the table open for those creativities, those independent thinkers, those critical thinkers. So everybody come in different ways and sit it all on the table and then put the pieces to the puzzle.
Gotcha. Good one. I gotta tell you, I've enjoyed this. It's been eye-opening. I wish we had more time, to be honest with you, and we don't. But thank you for your time this afternoon. I really greatly appreciate it.